Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Wild Interviews with Fabricio Lazarde. Today, our guest is Chase Lansdale. Chase is currently working with a team of people trying to preserve the long-tailed chinchilla in Chile. Welcome, Chase. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here. Yeah.
Great. It's
Uh,
also awesome to have you, and hopefully, we will raise awareness about this super cute and interesting species. Yes, I gotta say it. It is one of the cutest species in the world. So, well, Chase, I think we can start, like always, with a little introduction of yourself. What can you tell us about you? How did you study working in conservation or with animals?
okay. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm actually from San Diego, California. That's where I'm from. I grew up right next to a river near Mexico, the Tijuana River. So I was always near. It's a big estuary down there, and so I've always been near nature, and I've been very influenced by it. So I did a lot of volunteer work down there. Um, And that volunteer work led me to contact Amy because I also wanted to do some traveling to see kind of get out of the United States and see some different areas and also do some conservation work. And so I talked to Amy Deane, who is the leader and creator of Save the Wild Chinchillas organization. And she said that she wanted me to work on a project with her to go down to Chile to her research station and collect some footage. And she would helped me stay there for 6 months, collecting data for her. Yeah, and that was an amazing project, and yeah, I've been involved with the wild chinchillas ever since, just helping
Wow.
in whatever way I can. Not always going to the field, but just doing interviews like this or just spreading the word. Yeah,
Great, great. Well, um, conservation is kind of dependent on awareness because
yeah,
if people don't know about the animal, then what's how will you save the animal then?
yeah.
Right.
Very true. Very true. I mean, and luckily, the animal we're trying to save is very cute and fluffy, and a lot of people have it as pets. So the awareness is kind of high, but I don't know if people know just how endangered chinchillas are in the wild. The numbers are very, very few. I mean,
Well,
they're,
you know that that's kind of, I wouldn't say a misconception, but many people think that, for example, if they see chinchillas in pet shops as pets in zoos in everything, oh, they are so common, they are not endangered. But
yeah,
what they don't know is that really in their native places in the wild, they are disappearing at a faster rate than what many conservationists thought. Thought. Oh my god.
yeah, exactly. I mean, yeah, it's all those, sorry, all those chinchillas you see in pet shops, they're actually raised in farms. They don't, like, luckily they don't come from the wild. They used to, but yeah, that's why there's so many of them. But yeah, the numbers actually that I don't know if you know this, but chinchillas were deemed extinct in 1953. They were because of mining activities and poaching, and back then they actually captured chinchillas for the pet trade. And so in
Wow.
1953, they they thought they were completely extinct. For until 1996 when they rediscovered the long-tailed chinchilla in right where the area where our research station is, and
Wow.
that's what caused Amy to go down there and do that research right after that.
If I'm correct, the distribution range of the chinchillas would be at the northern part of Chile, yes? And
Yep,
then up more north in Peru, Bolivia, there are the short-tailed chinchillas, right?
that's correct. Yep, that is correct. Yeah, the long-tailed chinchillas is historically all through northern Chile, and now only located in this small, at least that's all we know of, in this small area near Iapel, the city of Iapel in central Chile.
Oh, well, sometimes when you see how the distribution range of a species shrinks um
Yeah.
abnormally or not, I don't know what word would fit here, but it's something like so fast and so unexpected that you know if something happened like a disease outbreak, or I don't know, if the whole habitat was destroyed, the species would disappear entirely from the wild.
Yeah. I it's pretty incredible. I mean, I don't think anyone back when they were poaching and mining, they thought that it would destroy the species so quickly. And they're just, I mean, it's kind of incredible how fragile animals are, and you don't really realize until they're gone. You
Yes,
know,
you are
and
right.
unless you have scientists doing research and keeping a close eye on those species, it can be really easy for them to disappear.
Well, before we continue, I think I should give a little insight.
Sure.
Um, there are two species of chinchillas. The ones that Chase and Amy are working with are the long-tailed chinchillas that live in just a small portion of the northern part of Chile, while the short-tailed chinchilla, which I gotta say, it's also endangered, lives in Peru and in Bolivia, I think, right?
Yep. That's right.
Yeah, but still, both of them are endangered and both of them need attention. Also, something interesting about them, the chinchillas that are pets or, yeah, that are in captivity, most of them are derived. No, how can, yeah, like they were first long-tailed chinchillas, and then
Mhm.
inbreeding, then everything, and well,
Yeah.
now they have no value if they are released into the wild. They No, because they would alter and really affect negatively the wild population. Chase, what more insight can you give us in this situation?
Um, I feel like that was a pretty good description of their the different species, and just like you said, they're basically like domesticated. All the ones that you have as pets. So yeah, as you said, they're like basically like dogs compared to wolves. They're extremely different. Um, yeah, I mean, it just yeah, their habitat, the places where they're known to be are is just extremely limited because they're very hard to find and see. Like the reason why people didn't know they were around for 40 years is because they're nocturnal in the wild. I've never had a pet chinchilla, so I'm not sure if they're awake very much in the daytime as pets, but in the wild they're only come out at night, and they only live on these really steep cliff sides, extremely steep. So I mean, the only way you'd see them is walking around in the dark and like really dangerous areas, and also they're super quick, so you wouldn't they'd run away before you ever see them anyways. And so I mean, there's probably lots of locations where they exist. We just don't know. Um,
Oh.
which is where our most recent project is, but I'll get to that. Um,
I think we can move
yeah,
on to the fun fact
sure.
section as we are now talking about this. And yes, I should say it, when I talked to Amy, I saw Esperanza, the chinchilla.
Oh, yeah,
Oh
yeah,
wow. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
It was a bit fun because it was kind of a surprise. I didn't expected it. Amy got the chinchilla and then put it on the screen, and I was like, oh my god, there's a
I, w-
chinchilla.
I wish I had a chinchilla to show you guys. It'd be super fun.
It's okay, Shays, but I don't know. The thing is that what well, no, it's not fun, but Amy is allergic to chinchillas.
I didn't know that.
Well, yes, she is. And during the interview, it was like, okay, no problem. But, but she took and she started sneezing and everything. Oh my God. But, but
That
well,
is
the thing
really
is
funny.
that people saw the chinchillas and everything. So of course, I also have to say it. This interview, it's with another member of the team, not Amy, because, we had issues with the internet and everything. So she
Right.
recommended me Shays, and and we are here today. It's great.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Yeah, it's too bad with the video with Amy didn't work because she's very knowledgeable. But I mean, I can help however I can here, give you insights about the projects we've done.
Of course, Chase, of course. Well, i- in the fun fact section, what do you think would be the most interesting fact to highlight of the species?
What's interesting fact? Yeah, I mean they bathe in sand like or dust. That's how they get clean. They kind of do these little barrel rolls in the dust to try and get clean. They I mean I always like kind of what I said that they the fact they live on these really rugged areas underneath these spiky plants, bromeliads. It's really, I mean, this kind of cute, fluffy animal like lives in one of the harshest environments that there is in the world. I mean, they're real tough little animals, you know,
Wow.
and it's pretty incredible to me.
Well, you know, many people wouldn't expect a chinchilla living in an environment like a desert. It is near the Atacama Desert, right?
Where we are is is pretty farther south, but I think they did historically live up that far. The range did go up that far up there. But yeah, we're kind of in central Chile, which is pretty far from Atacama. Um,
But
so yeah, but it's probably similar. I mean, I think there's more vegetation than Atacama, but still it gets really hot
it's
and
really arid,
it's
I imagine.
yeah, very arid, extremely arid. Yeah,
Oh, it is like kind of a savanna.
yeah,
If we could say it like so, I don't know.
yeah. It's yeah, it's kind of like a savanna, I would say. Yeah, it's there's like some trees, but all the plants are very low to the ground, very dry. There's not much water around. It's yeah, I mean the chinchillas they only get their water from eating plants. So like the water they can derive from they happen to be in the moisture in the plants where they get all their water from. Yeah,
That's
it's pretty incredible.
that's very interesting. So, talking now that we are talking about this, what do chinchillas eat? What's
So
the
they
diet?
eat kind of a wide variety of things. They eat sometimes small insects, but from what I can tell, it's mostly plants. They eat leaves and they can chew on bark to try and get nutrition from that. But the really important species for them are the bromeliads, because that's where a lot of water. They're kind of like cactus. They almost look kind of like octopus, kind of like almost like a aloe vera, sort of. You know what
Yeah,
aloe vera is, but they're really big and a lot drier and spikier.
I think I know which type of plant it is. Well, here in my house I have aloe vera,
Okay,
but I have seen those that you mentioned that they are
bromeliads,
like that, but are a lot bigger, right?
right? A lot bigger, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, they just look similar to them. So those are really important because they live underneath those plants and they eat them. So they're kind of dual purpose. Um, the carboneo, which is we've done a lot, is actually have a picture of that once we get to the share my screen. But those are really important vegetation for them to eat. Um, and I don't know, there's still a lot to learn about their specific feeding habits.
well, if
So,
you want, you can share the image of the plant now, so people know a
yeah,
little more about it.
sure. Okay. Let me share here. Um, okay. Can you see that?
No,
Oh,
right
okay.
now the screen is
Let me
not
see.
showing.
Oh, sure. There we go.
Now, yes.
Okay, so this is a carboneo. It's very beautiful flowers. And they're great. So kind of the some of the work we've done, or Amy has done, I should say, has been to plant a lot of these specific plants around the our research station, as these were historically a very important food source for chinchillas. But
Mm,
due to mining a lot of mining activity, they burned these plants a lot and other trees to try and for just melting the ore down. And so that you don't really see this plant in our the valley where the colonies that we work with. This plant is pretty much unknown in the wild. So we've been planting a lot of different just the same plant from different areas of Chile to try and increase the genetic material. You know, if you just put a couple plants there, eventually they die out because there's not enough different individuals. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's pretty interesting. Who would say that maybe with the replanting of these plants to the native environment of the chinchillas, you might be saving them or helping them like
Right.
rebound in population. Because, for example, that I know of, when the species have a lot of food, have a safe environment, they tend to
Mhm.
reproduce more, they tend to expand their range more, right?
Right. Yeah, that's with rodents, that's generally what happens. If you give them a lot of food and give them a safe environment, they start to reproduce more and more. Um, I think chinchillas are the same way. Yeah, it makes sense to me. That's
What can you tell me about chinchilla reproduction? That's, like now that we mentioned it, I think it would be interesting to know a little more on that side.
yeah. They actually give birth not very often. I think it's only like once or twice a year. So compared to like rabbits or other or rodents that have a really they give birth all year long, and if you give them a lot of food, they can just start having tons of babies. Chinchillas aren't really quite like that. They have like a breeding season and then like a birth season, and they think they only have a few offspring at a time, which is kind of the reason why they've it's kind of have become extinct because their birth rate is so low.
Mm,
Um, a lot of their mating uh, behavior is kind of unknown, at least in the wild. It's there hasn't been a whole lot of research or footage of that. And actually, some of the footage that we caught is of them doing some mating rituals. There's a little bit, but it's still some of the first footage ever recorded of that, which I can
that would
show
be good sharing if you have it.
you.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Oh,
Um,
to know a little more and see their behavior.
yeah, I can show this video now. This might be a good time. Oh, this while we're here is this mural in the back is actually some of the work we've done for outreach. Um,
Oh,
this was painted in the town of Iapel, which is nearby. It's the closest city to our research station and to the known location of the last
long-tailed
long-tailed
chinchilla.
chinchillas. Yep.
It's a
And
beautiful
so,
mural, like I gotta say, like the painting. Oh, wow.
yeah, yeah, it just kind of helps the people of Iapel know about chinchillas and gets involved and just know this and get to realize this endangered animal in their backyard, you know, just to spread the word. Um, I think these are a couple of Amy's friends. So let's call this video here. Here's some of the individuals. So here is some chinchillas feeding. Here's just some of the footage we've got. Um, like again, like I said, this is probably like one of the only wild chinchilla footage, as far as I know. I might be wrong, but it's definitely one of the few images.
Now that we are seeing the video, if I'm correct, Amy mentioned about the family structure of the chinchillas and that many times the family stays together and both the
Hmm.
father and the mother contributes to the raising of the offspring. What can you tell me more about this?
Amy would definitely, she's the expert. I don't know if I know much about that, besides from what I've seen in these videos. Let me just take this back a little bit. Like right here is a mother and her young. It's kind of blurry right there. So they obviously have like a tight family unit, at least at this age. I mean, yeah, I don't really know a lot. I'm not. Amy is she's a scientist. I'm kind of the the helper.
Don't
I wish I
worry,
knew more about
it's
that.
okay, it's okay. And by the way, congratulations on your um, studies and the research Wild Chinchillas is doing. I I don't know if you already published it or you will publish it, but you have like a research project, like I don't know, maybe Amy, but yes, very good that you are doing all of this to know more about the chinchilla.
Yeah, we're doing our part. Yeah, Amy does all the writing of the research papers, and mostly my work has been to being going out in the field, collecting this data for her. She kind of makes sense of it all, and I also like write grants for her.
Oh
So
wow.
she's been studying chinchillas for decades, since the 90s. So she's
You should
definitely
have mentioned at first that you were the one doing the data collection and you were in the field. There's a
yeah.
lot of questions. I have a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
questions regarding that.
Yeah, I was there for 6 months living in the desert there, like right around here. I put these camera traps up. I went through all the footage, looking through just like mostly just like if a twig moved, it would go off. It's all movement, or like little like mice, or there's also been like we caught a fox and like a tarantula. Some of the videos, which we unfortunately don't have, but
Oh,
it was pretty interesting going through all these yeah,
it's
footages.
very interesting. And now that you mention, what can you tell me about predation? Do chinchillas have natural predators?
Yes, they foxes. There's a pampas cat that lives in this area that also also I guess I'll let this go in the background. That hunts them. Um, Obviously humans is a predator. I think that's the biggest ones. Foxes, cats, maybe a cougar. Cougar might catch one. It's possible.
Oh,
The pampas cat is kind of like smaller. It's about the size of like a house cat. So
well,
they're
did you know that Chile catalogs the chinchilla as the second highest conservation priority mammal in all of the country?
I
That's
didn't know that. I didn't know
that's
that.
very interesting. And also, you mentioned the pampas cat. Pampas cats, if I'm correct, are either vulnerable or endangered too. So
Yeah,
wow, two
it's
endangered
all
species coexisting in the same environment.
yeah, exactly. It's all connected, you know.
Sounds crazy, but it's real. Wow. So that's the breeding behavior what we are seeing now.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the breeding behavior that's been rarely been seen or cataloged.
Oh
Um,
wow.
Jumping around. Jumping
Super
around.
interesting, really.
Yeah.
Wow. I don't know what to say. Really, you know, everything you have shown, I love to see people or conservationists like um researching and like sharing the information they find on a species that we once thought, okay, I have heard of the chinchilla, but chinchillas in the wild, everything that you've discovered, it's simply awesome.
Yeah, thank you. It's been really great working with Amy and doing these projects. It's been really amazing. So,
Chase, before continuing to the conservation and threat section, I have a last question for you. What are the methods you use for data collection or for, yeah, researching the species in the wild?
well, like I said, we used the footage I showed you. Um, so we watch that footage, see we kind of like have different categories for what the animal is doing, like bathing, aggressive behavior if they're chasing each other. Chinchillas are very territorial. So
Ooh,
if they're protecting their area or looking out for predators, and we just categorize each one of those behaviors and see what is the most common, what maybe there's behaviors we haven't seen before. Um, just see how often they're eating and what type of vegetation they're eating, just so we can understand more about chinchillas habit, behavior in the wild, which is very, very little is known.
Incredible, really incredible. And let's move on now. What are the main threats that this species is facing in the wild?
Yeah, I would say habitat destruction, as there's still lots of mining activities happening right around this the chinchilla reserve that's been set aside, I think, in the 90s as well. So there's this big area where known mining activities can happen.
Mm,
So so the chinchillas live there, but the chinchillas don't know where the boundaries are, and so they expand all across
of
the
course.
reserve. And right as soon as you get out of reserve, there's tons of mining activities. When I was living there, I could hear it all the time: explosions and drilling, and so that can be just really disruptive. I mean, chinchillas have very sensitive hearing, very sensitive sense, and so that noises can disrupt them and maybe make them move, run away, or stress them out. And also just the mining
In
activities
general,
destroy.
of course,
Yeah,
yes.
they destroy their habitat by drilling and just creating holes in the ground. So
Wow. Well, yes, we talked about that too, how mining is affecting, but that in some cases the miners have started to um, know and learn about the
right.
chinchilla and trying to, okay, if we see a chinchilla, we don't kill them, we just leave them be and try to coexist with them. I would say, I don't know.
Yeah, no, Amy has done a lot of work with that too. She's very close to the miners because actually living out in the research building, it's out in the middle of nowhere, and so the only way to get there is through hitchhiking. And so a lot of the times we get picked up by mining trucks, and so that gives us an opportunity to talk to the miners and tell them why we're there. And it's a mixed reaction. Some people are very interested and glad that we're doing habitat restoration and helping save chinchillas. Other ones are kind of like, they're worried that chinchilla conservation might limit their opportunities as miners. So
Yes.
it's getting the word out and talking to them and finding areas of collaboration where we can work together. So we don't want to stop them from working. We want to make sure they can have livelihood, be able to pay their bills, but we also want to save chinchillas too. So it's finding that balance.
And well, maybe sustainable practices or sustainable livelihoods for the people that currently is working in the mines. Because yes, of course, there's people that will see it good, but there's others that will be like, if this area is zoned as protected area for chinchillas, the mine will be closed. I will lose my job. I will have nothing to to provide for my family.
Exactly.
So have you applied any kind of proposals, or have you in mind changing the current livelihoods of the miners to sustainable livelihoods?
I mean, that is something that it's ongoing work. It's not really an easy answer to find ways to create sustainable mining practices. It's inherently destructive, but I mean, you still have to try and find. I mean, I think that, yeah, just having really strict um, guidelines on mining is appropriate, and making sure it's away from the reserve to make sure there's like enough, like something Amy's been working on as a buffer. I think it's buffer area around the reserve that mining can't happen. That way the chinchillas can kind of like are completely restricted to the reserve. Um, that's something that she's been doing. Um, I'm not exactly sure how far along that project is, but I know she's working on that for a while. Um, and I think that the best way to do this is just communicate with the miners. Like, you don't want to make them the enemy. As soon as you start, 'cause, it's
Exactly, you need to
you
work
know
with them along
exactly.
to help the
Yeah,
species, because at the end, they are the local people and the ones that will hopefully continue your work
right.
over the years. Right.
Exactly. Amy and I we go there, we do research, and then we leave. Like if it, we're not going to be able to say these chinchillas, and it takes everyone needs to be interested and part of it, to
Yes.
continue on for foreseeable future. Exactly.
I also wanted to talk a little about your tree or plant nursery. What can
Mhm.
you tell me about it?
Yep. Around the research station. There's a lot of trees that we try and plant endangered or threatened
Mhm.
species of plants, like that carbonio I showed you. That is a threatened plant species. That's also related to chinchillas. So it's like it's all like what we said. It's all tied together. The
Of
more
course.
this plant, the more we can help chinchillas, the more we can help pampas cats. We also, I think, we planted some palm trees, some Chilean palms that are also endangered. It's yeah, just trying to just fix the habitat. It's The area is also kind of used as grazing for goats. So we try and protect certain areas so the goats can't go in there. It's kind of, because there's tons of plants for the goats to eat, and we work with the farmers as well. That's another area population we work with, farmers. Like,
Oh,
okay, we're gonna,
goats are one of the most destructive
oh yeah,
in kind of plants. Well, one of the most
yeah,
destructive animals. If you
yeah,
have an
they
island
are.
and you have goats, ah, you are lost. You know, for example, in Galapagos, what a success it was to finally eradicate all goats from the islands. It has helped the vegetation to grow back, the animals to resettle, have more food opportunities. It has like kind of rebalanced the ecosystem.
Well, I had no idea that there was goats in Galapagos. That seems crazy.
Yes, island conservation is a group. I think it was based in New Zealand that goes to islands, eradicates invasive species to help the native species rebound and get
Yeah,
healthy again. Because that's another thing. Most of island endemics are endangered, sadly.
yeah,
And the main cause is invasive species: rats, cats, goats, sometimes pigs, deer in some cases. Well, it's a lot. I
yeah,
think that's another topic for another interview.
yeah.
But yes, it's the same. I imagine that the goats eat the plants that could serve as food and as home for the chinchillas.
Exactly. Yeah, the goats, just as you said, they chew plants down to the ground. They're crazy, which is it's I love goats before going there. They're so cute. Goats are
Of
but
course.
seeing them just go crazy, just like munch everything down, which is fine. I mean, the goats they create like they have really good goat cheese in Chile, which I would eat too. It's like really great. It's from these goats that walk around the valleys. And so, but just finding that kind of middle ground, like we planted some plants for the goats to eat as well, along with our native plants. So we plant those. Okay, you can have these, but just to keep away from these plants, we make some fences so the chills can get to the plants and the goats can't. So it's just all a balancing act. It's just working with people and just give and take and finding just yeah, areas to collaborate. So
Wow,
that's yeah.
that's great, really. And I don't know, do you want to talk about some of the achievements you've had, or have we talked all about them? Or we move on to the final part of the interview? You tell me.
Um, we let's see. Well, we have a new project that we're working on. I don't know if I mentioned that. That's that's where so we're trying to find new colonies of chinchillas. We like there's new technology, these algorithms like for finding very specific areas of that could be suitable for chinchillas. Like for instance, I don't know if you heard they discovered a colony in Bolivia of short-tailed chinchillas
Yes,
very recently.
she mentioned it, and I researched a little about it. And yes, there's a new colony in Bolivia.
Yeah, and I think that was 2018 that they found that. and that was using this technology. It basically takes areas where chinchillas have known to live and kind of puts all those different like the slope, the heat, the different plants like density, and just finds areas where they could live. And that time in Bolivia, it worked out. The computer knew exactly where they were. It said chinchillas were here, they went there, and then they were. And it was a really amazing discovery. So we're trying to use that same technology to find long-tailed chinchillas, which is mostly our focus.
And that's another question. Well, in the case that, for example, you find a suitable place with no population of chinchillas, would you be keen to reintroducing or moving some individuals to establish a new colony on there?
I don't know. I don't know if that's because then if you'd be taking individuals from one colony, I guess you have to find a colony with a lot of individuals and figure out if it would be a good move to
It
move
will be
them.
a challenge, of course, and you would have a lot
Yeah,
of logistics. It will be interesting, or
yeah,
not. Just leave the nature takes place in the sense that, for example, if you provide an area full of vegetation or of suitable conditions, eventually the chinchillas would expand their range
right.
to get to the suitable habitat.
Yeah, that would be, I think that's the route we would take. We would try and create so we'd find a suitable area and then create a corridor of plants. We'd
A
plant
biological
plants all the way over
corridor.
there so they could hide and eventually naturally expand. Yeah, I think that would probably be the route we'd take to,
Great.
yeah.
So, Chase, we are in the final part of the interview. Would you be keen to say a last final message to our viewers? It can be about anything, conservation, chinchillas, something that that you feel it's good to end today's interview.
Um, yeah, just, let's see, just, remember that if you have a pet chinchilla, that, that there's native wild ones out there, and that that we have trying to do everything we can to try and preserve the species, and every little bit helps. And then the more we can come together and work together to try and save chinchillas and other endangered species, the better chance we have of actually ensuring their survival. Yeah, that's
Thanks
kind of what
for
I got.
that message, Chase. Before we end, I would like you to subscribe the channel, go like. This interview will be great. Also, I will leave you the link to the website of Save Chinchillas. Save the Wild Chinchillas is the
Yeah,
correct
see the
name.
wild chinchillas. Yeah.
Great. Also, I will leave you the link to their YouTube channel so you can check out the videos of wild chinchillas, which are very rare, I gotta say. And please enjoy. Bye. Take care. Again, thanks for your time, Chase. And I hope we can keep raising awareness about chinchillas.
Yeah.
Bye.
I see.